Let's look at today's hustle culture. Essentially, the term means to rise and grind. These people are obsessed with the hustle and showing off how hard they work and will tell anyone who will listen. Their morning, afternoon, and evening routine is always the same work. And they take extreme pride in it. In recent times, this culture has become synonymous with performative workaholism.
Take a look at some of these quotes. I'd rather hustle 24/7 than slave 9 to 5. You have to work overtime to be the best and work hard then work harder. This culture has become all about working until you physically can't anymore.
So, what is performative workaholism? This refers to the go-getter mindset that glorifies those who live and breathe their jobs and scoffs at anyone who clocks less than 16-hour days. That is, it prioritizes work above all else.
I've got a big day.
You've always got a big day. Even on the weekends, you have a big day. You can't let this job be your life.
Until relatively recently, work was seen as painful toil and best avoided. But something has changed in the 16th century. We started to think that work was morally good. 500 years on hashtag Thank God It's Monday has made its way. Today, work has invaded every aspect of our lives. This is especially true in Bangalore, which is known as the Silicon Valley of India. With one of the world's fastest growing ecosystems, Bangalore is brimming with opportunities. But in order to grab the best, you have to be the best. There is a growing necessity to outperform our peers and engage in an overwhelming workload under the banner of a renowned corporation like Goldman Sachs or Deloitte. Workaholism has consumed the young and ambitious workforce, fueling a growing cult of compulsory productivity under the disguise of loving work.
Where have you been?
Sleeping.
What? All night?
Climbing the corporate ladder is no easy feat. Employees are not just expected to work 80 hours a week, but they are also expected to love what they do and then promote that love on social media, thus fusing their identities to that of their employers. This is a vicious cycle, which more often than not leads to what is called a burnout. Longer hours can kill. It does not necessarily lead to a happier or more fulfilling life in the long run, and instead leads to depression, loneliness, or anxiety. This brings us to the mental health crisis of India. While there have been many such cases, it took the death of Cafe Coffee Day owner VG Siddhartha on 29th July 2019 to focus national attention on the mounting corporate pressure. A 2016 study involving over 6,000 employees in multiple cities of India found that 80% of the respondents exhibited symptoms of anxiety, while 55% had symptoms of depression. Further, the study found that between 2008 and 2016, the risk of suicidal behavior in India nearly quadrupled from 2.1 out of 10 employees to 8.21. Mental health, coupled with the stigma surrounding it, is the single most important health issue in the workplace. In fact, the World Health Organization has even classified burnout as a diagnosable condition.
If you're still not convinced of how bad performative workaholism is, well, here's an example. Let's talk about Japan. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think Japan? Anime maybe? Sushi maybe? Fast cars maybe? Well, I hate to break it to you fellow weebs. Life, unfortunately, isn't like anime. Japan is a country that has long been admired by people all across the world for the continuous effort and the commitment they have, which led them to being an innovator in technology from the late 1970s. But behind the scenes is something quite bizarre and rather uncomfortable. People actually die of overworking in Japan. The Japanese call it karoshi, which means death from overwork. So much so that in the year 2016, over 2,000 people killed themselves due to overworking. This is thanks to the brutal corporate office culture that runs in the country and has led to several deaths.
Japan is facing something of an epidemic in unused annual holiday leaves. Only 52.4% of the paid leaves were utilized in the year 2018 by Japanese workers. This means that the remaining 47.6% of their leaves weren't utilized even though they were going to be paid for it. And the reason they're so reluctant on taking these leaves, it happens to be guilt. They simply prioritize work more than anything, and they don't want to be the only ones taking leaves when the others are working so hard. But it's obvious that the work hard, play hard culture is turning out to do more harm than good to not only Japan, but the rest of the corporate world.
The idea that workaholism is a true representation of a pathway to success has been propagated at an early age by schools and colleges. This leads students who eventually turn out to be employees for corporations and offices to put in a humongous but also unhealthy amount of effort, thinking that this is the only way to earning promotions and better salaries. The famous author Robert Kiyosaki has explained that salaried employees not only have to work extremely hard to earn stable incomes but also have to pay the most taxes. He explains that formal education, instead of teaching students how to be rich and have financial stability, instead teaches them to obtain university degrees, secure a job, and work long hours till they're 65. This culture has promoted workaholism to turn out to be more toxic than beneficial.
What makes this even worse is that today's idolization of performative workaholism particularly tends to leave women the worst affected. Especially those who break any glass ceiling for the first time have to cope with closed clubs, snide comments, and having to deliver twice as much as the dominant population in order to be accepted. Think about it. Working women already have the burden of putting their domestic and familial requirements first. Add into the mix this culture of longer working hours and increase in workloads leave women scrambling to catch up. It's also no secret that a workaholic woman is likely to be heavily criticized by family, friends, and others, as she is said to be putting work first at the expense of her family. But on the other hand, putting the family first tends to restrict her performance and growth in the firm when compared to her male counterparts. The odds are never in her favor. This work-family life conflict acts as a strong deterrent and in many cases, especially in India, causes women to quit their corporate jobs. This is clearer now than ever, with a record number of women leaving the workforce during the pandemic. Working women have to deal with their working hours, which seem to have no end, and with the family always at home, they have the added pressure to provide time at home as well as professionally. With the onset of COVID-19, we witnessed many trends come to light. One thing that really stood out was the productivity race that seemed to consume India. Everyone was picking up a new talent or getting an online internship or entering the stock market, and some had even started YouTube channels. The number of productivity videos or glow-up stories that were popping up on social media was bizarre. But constantly being ambushed by these posts also made many people feel like outcasts, as though they weren't doing enough. And in times like this, it's very important to remember to each his own, and in no way should you feel pressurized to do anything you don't want to do. It's also very important to note that mental illness is enormously costly, both to employers and the society, yet it still remains stigmatized, underinsured, and woefully undertreated. This prevalent problem needs to be addressed at the earliest. The situation can be improved by having organizations cover mental illness under their health plans, as well as having organizations reduce workloads to realistic levels. Having an in-house counselor and holding open dialogue would also improve this dire situation. What we're trying to say is being passionate about your job and spending extra time on it isn't the problem. It only becomes a real issue when you start feeling compelled to put in the extra hours or to take on more work by the people and the environment surrounding you. When such workaholism starts affecting your mood, health, and relationships, it goes from being a productive challenge to an unhealthy source of stress. Getting your work done should never get in the way of you living your life.